reservations that no longer apply, such as White Pines.
Yeah, but don't trust that term.
She doesn't want me to touch that, so
No, trust it. Don't trust that statement.
No, she was asking if they can change the crown practice. And they can't do that without you.
Can you see your legal expertise? Will they be able to pull one across and saying, now that you guys have gotten up to speed on your rights, let's see if we can amend these and bring back and protect some reservations?
No.
Oh, okay, that's a very easy question to answer then. And your crown patent is issued. As long as your crown patent was issued more than 60 years ago, no one can touch it.
Okay.
Except for you.
Unless you agree to change them, and then of course they can. But what's there cannot be changed unless you want to change.
Thank you.
Okay? Liz?
No.
Can you explain before we go on there about what the impact then you guys are trying to do with the land value to set the taxes?
Well, Liz would be better on that one, but what's happening with impact, and they tried it here about 2 years ago when Liz took them to task on it pretty hard. And
I won!
she did win. They're back regrouping, trying to figure out how they're going to do it. So in Quebec, they're starting to bring it on now, and it's, as you know, your house is assessed by impact and at a certain value. But now they're going to try and assess your property as to how much money you make off that property. Okay, so if you're a garage and that kind of thing, they're going to, it's really another income tax. They're going to tax you accordingly if it's commercial or if you're selling so much stuff off your farm or whatever like that. They want to know, they want to see all your books on how much income you're creating off that property. So this is pretty much an illegal act, but they're doing it, as we know. Albert can attest to it. They're in the process of doing it over in Quebec in a couple of municipalities already. So anybody else want to elaborate on that, Liz?
Okay. I'm getting pretty tired, folks. It's been a long haul these last few days. Anyways, okay. The province does not have the authority to allow anyone to tax indirectly. That's right in the Constitution. It's section 92(2), that the provinces can only tax directly, as I stated earlier, so that's a provincial sales tax or property taxes, okay? Under section 92(9), they have the right to license specific things, and that they are very limited. And this is right from the intent and interpretation of the British North America Act from 1883. They can only issue licenses for shops, saloons, taverns, and auctioneers. Anything beyond that is beyond their legal authority. But that is considered their ability to do an indirect tax. So with them trying to implement the income approach for assessments, they are demanding financial statements from commercial and industrial operations. I received this notice, well actually my brothers, nod, wink, wink, say no more. My brothers received this notice 2 or 3 years ago. It really ticked me off. Because no one in Canada, other than Canada Revenue Agency, has the right to demand your financial statements for any reason. So this is an illegal act. So, and this is where we have to get on nice people like poor Mr. Jack McLaren and say, Jack, this is illegal. Can you guys get that fixed when you guys get into power? Nod, wink, wink, say no more, say no more. So I did up a report on this income approach from MPAC, and there's a fellow named Glenn Lucas. He is an expert on assessments. He's also a member of the Bar Association. Really nice man, very smart man. And there's another fellow named Brian Smith that also does this, and he works kind of in conjunction with Glenn. I did my report. I had them vet my report. And then Glenn and I actually did a bit of speaking on it. And lo and behold, there was a letter sent out to us squawkers, backdated to before the assessment notices went out, saying, oh, well, you know, you don't really have to. So we did it. We beat them. This is the same thing that they were implementing on golf courses, and it was determined in the court of law that it was completely illegal. And this is where, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any, and if you don't know the law. And it's very hard to know the law, because like I said, in Shawville the other night, in Ontario, we have 500,000 pieces of legislation, regulation, and policy. Provincial only. So you can tell I've been very busy for the last 3 or 4 years. Anyways, I hope we're all done, because right now I need a cigarette and I'm burned.
I just wanted to ask people if they know how much private property there is in Ontario by percentage wise. How much of the province is privately owned? Does anybody know?
25%?
This is beautiful. This is,
Canada is about
this is
12%. That's what it's all around there.
13%. So 87% of it is crown, parkland,
Public.
roads, public, or treaty land.
And for the most part, they do a poor job looking after that.
Which they do a really bad job of, but they really, really want to control that 13%.
no, they want to control you.
They want to control people on it.
Funny, because nationally it's less than 1%.
There you go.
Now,
He's a nerd too.
the other thing I wanted to go back to was private property rights and in the Constitution. And lots of people think we should entrench it in the Constitution, and we used to believe that, and we've had second thoughts. But if you take a look at the United States, they're a perfect example of it entrenched in the Constitution. And their property rights situation down there is way worse than ours. And the worst state of all, which would shock me when I heard it, is Texas, where you think they would defend it with every
Fiber of
fiber
their
in their body. But they have lost their property rights because it was entrenched, and therefore the politicians could remove it piece by piece. Ours, as you heard Liz say, is an inalienable right. What inalienable means, granted by God, or however you want to put it, but it means that man cannot change it. They have no ability to change inalienable rights. And we want to keep it that way, because politicians like Jack are notorious for chipping away at those.
Please don't you, Jim.
Sorry, I just have one little question. Okay, I've been wanting to ask.
Gotta be quick.
Quick.
On the legal side, I sent a letter to Google International back a couple of years ago, asking them to please remove the photos taken, the aerial photos taken of my farm. And I'd like just to know, where is our privacy rights now with aerial photos and with private corporations and government included?
Watch it tort and sue their butts.
Yeah,
you said it there.
Yep. I don't know, Liz wants you to have this for some reason.
Hey, you're the lawyer, man.
When are you allowed to smoke?
I get snarky when I don't have a cigarette.
They told me to take the mic, so. As I understand it, you're asking, what rights do you have for people flying over and taking pictures of your property and then putting it on the internet or making it available publicly?
Yeah, well, I mean, Google happily removed and blurred out a section of my farm, but now I found out just recently by purchasing some other property that there are other sources where they're getting it through either NRCan or through the government. Very specific photos of my property, down to about the 50-meter thing. I mean, they can see pretty much everything on my property.
Even you sunbathing in the nude.
Yes, they could.
Oh, I gotta find you that website.
Okay, that is probably one of the least litigated areas of private property rights at this point. And I say that because I cannot think of any cases where it actually has been tested. But I think that what needs to happen is that somebody needs to, as they say, take the bull by the horns on this one and, take Google or some of the other commercial vendors to task over making your private life public, because what's between the boundaries of your land is your business and no one else's. Okay?
Okay, we're done.
Okay, no, just wait 1 second. Jack has some announcements to make, and then I'm going to close the meeting.
I'll be brief, people. There's a meeting coming up on July the 18th in Canada at the Legion in Canada on Hines Road. We'll put this up on the Landowner website, I think, and on my own website. And I think you'd all be very interested in it because it's on the same subject of private property ownership, government legislations taking away our property rights. It's a lady is going to come to speak from British Columbia. Her name is Elizabeth Nixon. She's written a book called Eco-Fascist, and the subject is about how conservationists are destroying the environment through regulation and taking away our property rights. Because the best conservationist, of course, is the property owner like you and me who own the land because we're proud of it and we'll take care of it. So this will be really interesting. She was kind of an environmentalist left-wing type, living on the Salt Spring Islands where all the left-wing people lived, and she wanted to sever some land, and she found what government was doing to her ownership of her private property, and she's become a one-person crusade, a little bit like this lady over here, to preach the message of what government is doing through land use planning and taking away our property rights. And she's an amazing lady and a great spokesperson, and she's traveled all over Canada and the United States as well. So put that on your calendar as July 18th in Canada in the evening. Elizabeth Nixon. Another thing, just a matter of interest, or it's kind of important to me, an MPP once a year can table a private member's bill and have it debated. Other bills are like government bills, but this is the individual MPP's one chance once a year to pick a subject that he's interested in and write up a bill. So mine is coming up, and the bill is quite an interesting one. Actually, it's an old bill that was law, got repealed. It's called Fairness is a Two-Way Street. In 1999, the Mike Harris government passed it. Basically, it shut the door on Quebec along the Ottawa River to construction workers and contractors coming into Ontario because Ontario contractors and construction workers can't go into Quebec. Technically, we can, but the red tape and the permits and harassment basically make it impossible for Ontario guys to go into Quebec. That's the way it was before 1999. And then when this legislation came in, it just made it illegal for Quebec contractors or workers to bid on government jobs, contracts in construction for provincial government, municipal government, schools and hospitals. And we had a job protection office where even to bid on private jobs, they had to register there. So it made it difficult even for them to come and do private things. That's sort of a retaliation against Quebec shutting the doors on us. So that law was adopted in 1999, worked well. It was repealed by McGuinty in 2006, and he made a deal with Jean Charest thinking we trust him, and it was just a protocol understanding that we'll be nice to each other. Of course, that didn't work, and the Quebecers, once again, Ontario contractors and workers in construction cannot go into Quebec, and they're just pouring into Ontario. So we're going to just take that law, and that's going to be my private member's bill, which we'll table on Wednesday this week at Queen's Park, and we'll have a media event. It'll be in the Ottawa Citizen this Monday or Tuesday. We've convinced the reporter that he has the scoop on it, so we'll use the media to our advantage. And then we table the bill on February the 12th, or we'll second reading where it's debated will be February the 12th when the legislature sits again. So stay tuned on that one. That should be kind of fun. We're going to work the media as hard as we can all summer, and it'll create a few sparks between our good neighbors on the other side of the river. Anyway, that's it. Thanks, Jeff. Any questions on that one? Anyway, thank you, people.
Everybody got your $10 worth? Was it worth coming in today and spending $10? Thank you to Terry Green, and Public Assistant Mariah, Tom Black, Tammy Coogan, Ms. Marshall. Get their business cards, exchange information, talk to the people in the crowd, get their business cards, keep the information going, protect the property rights.